Hey guys, so the said Nollywood has acted its own version of John Wick, only that this time the assassin isn't killing because his dad was killed. He's killing instead because his son was killed. Well, this is what so many people have said in reference to the new Netflix movie, The Black Book. But that's just the lighter note. Let's talk about the movie in full. In this movie, directed by Editi Efyong, a widowed deacon, Paul Edima, takes justice into his own hands after his only son, Damilola Edima, was killed by the police and framed for kidnapping. Now, Paul fights a corrupt police gang and his former employees in order to absolve his dead son.
Now, which one of you killed my son?
My name is Nnamdi Atupulazi. If this is your first time on this channel, kindly subscribe before you continue watching. Thank you. Now let's get down to talking points in this movie. First, it was nostalgic seeing the old faces back on the screen. Bimbo Akintola acting as Professor Craig, Norbert Young acting as Mr. Craig, Alex Usifo acting as General Issa, Taiwo Ajayi as Editor-in-Chief, Patrick Doyle as Senator Dick Bowell, and so on. They brought back sweet old memories. I kind of wish I could go back to my childhood or younger days when these guys dominated the screen. However, I do feel that there were too many key characters. And you know the saying about too many cooks spoiling the broth? This wouldn't have been a problem if the movie were a series, but this is just a movie. Not long enough to have that many key characters, my opinion. Second, I was impressed by the acting of most of the major characters, especially Bimbo, Sam Dede, and of course, Richard Mofe Damijo. These guys are veterans, and of course, they proved it. I commend Vic Kalu, that's the journalist, but I personally don't think her acting was all that. I mean, she looked very often like she was forcing it. I also think the action of one of the kidnappers who was apprehended was embarrassing, very, very embarrassing. Third, The Black Book stands out for its very relatable story, which mirrors the Nigerian situation. It shows how people in power can manipulate others. We saw how corruption fought back when people who benefited from corruption in the oil sector kidnapped Professor Craig's husband and child in order to subdue her. When I saw that part, I quickly remembered Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala's book, Fighting Corruption is Dangerous. I'm not saying they copied, I'm just saying I could relate with that because, you know, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala had spoken about that in her book. Then the scene where the police harassed, killed and framed Damilola Edima for kidnapping was worryingly familiar. I mean, we've seen and read so many of such allegations on the Nigerian Twitter space. For those reasons, the average Nigerian who watches this movie will likely rate it highly. But I find some holes in this story. I mean, I think it was an error that despite his fabled military training and exploits, Paul Edima didn't realize when he returned home that someone, that's the journalist, had entered his house. Worse still, he was in the same house and the journalist went through his stuff, copied the video from his laptop, and left the house. The dreaded assassin didn't catch her. Haba. Even I myself. Now, fourth, the cinematography was impressive. I loved it. Some persons have accused the movie of having too many senseless shooting scenes. But come on, isn't that what even most Hollywood action thrillers are about? I mean, the latter installments of Fast and Furious series are basically about crazy stunts and shua everywhere. And for God's sake, we've been watching the movies, we're enjoying them, hyping them, and they are selling. I like the action in this movie. I am in fact pleased that Nollywood is exploring this genre of movie more and more. Now, the fifth talking point in the movie, there were a few unrealistic scenes in the movie. One of them was that during the shootout between the kidnappers and the first batch of policemen, there was an SUV doused with petrol, but despite the exchange of gunfire, the vehicle didn't catch fire until much later when it was convenient for the story. In fact, despite the shootings, none of the many vehicles abandoned in the traffic had their glasses shattered. The second one was the shooting and chase between the police, the hired assassin, uh, acted by Damilola Gray, and Paul. I mean, the scene looked a lot like Hollywood and so unrealistic in the Nigerian context. Now, the third one was General Issa's excuse that he would not be able to get the commissioner of police to release Dami's corpse to the father. Now, this is funny because people like General Issa have no business with police commissioners. They allegedly deal with the AIGs, the IG, people who will order the commissioner to immediately release the corpse. But still, I commend the movie for trying to balance things up with the upright police commissioner. Surely, not everyone in the police force is corrupt. So kudos for the balance. Now, the sixth talking point. It was strange that Professor Craig, as big and important as she was allowed to negotiate with kidnappers alone. And a soldier was even standing somewhere in the room. Yeah. I mean, in real life, the police would be there to listen to the negotiation, which they must have expected. Elsewhere, we didn't see Paul and his son bond well enough for us to be very invested in their relationship. But the writer deserves some flowers for that scene where Paul dug his hands in the soil soaked by his son's blood. Oof. I also felt chills down my spine when Paul stared after the truck taking his dead son away. Great scripting.
I accept.
Overall, The Black Book is a good movie, but there were so many things that could have been done better. So I rate the movie 7/10. But this is my personal opinion about the movie, so I encourage you to watch it and then let me know in the comment section what you think. Till next time, I leave you with this fine quote from the movie. The past must die to truly serve the future. Nnamdi Atupulazi is my name. Please subscribe, like, and share this video.